aka Jessica Jones, a podcast all about what a coincidence, Jessica Jones on Netflix. I am your host, Zachary Hare, and with me is Jesse Jackson. No, not that one.
Yeah, I'm just here to kind of hang out at the bar. I heard it's, ladies' night. I'm just kind of looking forward to maybe seeing a bar fight on this episode. It is great to be back talking Jessica Jones. As we talked about in our last episode, you and I are doing this only a few episodes at a time. For the listeners, we are not binge watching. You would think we learned from Daredevil, but nope, that's what we keep doing because that's how much we care about the listener.
So this is episode 2, and we go right in. Of course, the aftermath of the events of Beth killing her parents. Now the cops. I mean, I don't know if this is going to be history of this, but they're also gunning for Jessica. They do the usual stupid questions. And the thing I'm curious about, because we still don't know, because obviously all the Marvel Netflix shows are going to connect, but we don't know what the timeline is. We have no idea how this connects to Daredevil yet.
No, we don't. That's one of the things that in the comic book, you saw Matt Murdock fairly, at least a couple of times giving Jessica work. So that sets you in.
And Purple Man is actually originally a Daredevil villain.
Right. I am a fan of the Clark Peters who plays the detective talking to her. He was absolutely amazing as Albert Lambro on Treme. He played the bad police guy on Person of Interest. And it's really a very nice character because he didn't like her very much. He didn't trust her. And I love her back and forth.
Yes, indeed. Although it's like the cops it's obvious they're desperate. Because it's like, hey, we found these pictures of a black man. He's obviously related. It's like, okay, why are we going here?
Yeah, and I love her righteous indignation of why are you looking without, and they're just they go, hey, it's a crime scene. We can look
Although
anywhere we
technically,
want.
that's getting around the warrant, because I mean the
Yes, it
warrant has to be
is.
pretty specific for them to go into at the other end of the building, essentially. So
Absolutely.
she goes to Luke and tries to, but obviously the cops get there in time, and she says she was watching him because she's a private investigator and the husband of a married woman he was seeing. What's interesting is he very visibly shaken by the fact that he was sleeping with a married woman.
Yeah. Nothing at all. I agree.
And he obviously is thinking, is that the only reason she spent any time with me and that sort of thing? So from there, we go see the victim, and this scene with her was just eerie. Just like he made me jump for hours.
Yeah. That was really and she's saying I was never as good as you is just and I do agree. I love that, she ended up saying, "Oh, I know it's not my fault, it's your fault."
That was something.
Yeah, she's like, whoa, 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 back off, back off. So yeah, really good stuff.
Yes, and we get more into it's like, and it's funny because like you've seen the preview. And here she says you should kill yourself, and out of context, it seems like a threat. But if you with the whole scene, it's actually kind of like you'll be better. Like, because she's been through it too. You'll be better off if you just kill yourself.
I I will. I agree, and that's she's this. He has left this young lady shattered, but I mean, you think about it. You've killed your parents. You
And
don't
I mean,
remember doing it, but you
yeah.
did. And
And no one
yeah,
believes no one's because I mean that's something I made a note of in last episode, and this one is I mean this is like it's not like it's Doctor Doom. If someone said Doctor Doom blew up this section of city, that's why I was hurt. People are like, oh yeah, of course I heard about this, but like this is a woman saying this guy mind controlled me,
Yeah.
and something I'm curious about, and I don't know if we'll see it in this, but it could be a real fascinating thing to address. It's like I wonder if people ever would because people would be like, "Hey, I'm sorry I was late for work. Iron Man hit into my car." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, and this is see, this is something I've actually I mentioned on the Evil Dead podcast, shameless plug, that one of the reasons that show works is you can really, and why the comic books were so good, you can really delve into characters in a way you can't do in an hour and 30 minutes in a movie. These shows, all of them, you'll be able to do stuff because it's episodes just like a comic book. There's stuff you can have that you could never do in a movie.
Yes, and they are sitting there bringing it on, um, building this world slowly but surely. And so, yeah, I think it is really interesting to see what we've been able to do.
Yes, and so the friend's talking to her some more, and she's like trying to get her to talk about Kilgrave, trying to protect her and stuff. And it's just such a hard. She's trying to convince her like you should come with me, but she's like this. He could get me through anyone,
Hmm.
and it's like her friend just doesn't understand that.
Yeah, and how do you not live your life incredibly paranoid, Zach? If anyone you see, the police, your neighbor, the kid that's kind of
Yourself,
messed up, yeah, it and you feel like he's there all the time. I think they've done a good job of showing she feels like they're
yep.
there. He's
Well, like I
there
said in the
all the time.
first episode, I thought it was going to be that he was really there and just
Right.
messing with her and stuff.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so we get this. Oh, by the way, I know it's a bit of a one-dimensional character, but this wife, I hate her. She's just a horrible person.
Yes. It is. She's and it is a nice twist, right? That she's coming and she's talking to Luke, and hey, we didn't talk much before, and you can put your ring back on, and this discussion, and when she later goes and talks to Jessica, you ruined my life. I, yes, the wife made her own choices, but to a certain degree, Jessica did screw things up for her.
Well, true, I hopefully, but the thing that I just like to see where she's like, oh, come on, even if someone married, and
Yeah,
she doesn't understand that Luke does care, like he doesn't
right.
want to sleep with a married woman. It actually matters to him.
Well, and I like this is so practical. He doesn't need the drama, as he put
Mm.
it. It isn't necessarily
I
a
have the same rule. I really do because
yeah.
it's just way and people. I've had people try to say, oh, they don't care, and believe me, they care.
Well, first off, no one is hitting me up to sleep with 50-something fat old white guy. But yes, if I did have the opportunity,
Well, except your
uh,
wife.
yeah, well, yeah,
All
let's
right,
get
all
that
right.
for a
Don't put
moment.
yourself
Yes,
down. All right, you have a wife.
I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want the drama either. And I and one of the things that this actor does such a great job on, Mike Coulter, is how he seems so cold and analytical, yet you can tell there's a rage of emotions underneath him just waiting to explode.
Yeah, so of course we get that, and I like how, yeah, of course it's in a way it's Jessica's fault, but it's like, you gotta love these people who
Yeah.
cheat and can't take
Right.
responsibility. And also, she's like, oh, by the way, Andre's gonna go with a bunch of his rugby friends and beat Luke up. It's like, so why are you here?
Yes. And yeah, why aren't you going and warning Luke instead of, yelling at Jessica? And to give Jessica's credit, she rushes to try to be the Calvary to save her um, friend is too casual because they don't really know each other well enough yet, but to save Luke. And Luke may not need saving, does he, Zach?
No, not really. So, but we'll get to that. First of all, let's talk about what is up with the neighbors.
I, I'm. This is one of those things where you go, nothing to see, move along.
I thought he was in a diaper for a second.
Yeah, and I get the feeling there's some kind of messed up relationship there, right?
Oh, obviously.
And I don't really know how messed up. I mean, I don't know if it's like Game of Thrones, sibling kind of messed up, but with a side of domination, and it's and boy, the brother is like, "Hey," to Jessica, and she's looking at him like,
which even more implies he's into being bossed around by
"Yes,
women. But this is an example again, super stuff in everyday life. She just breaks open the door and lifts her up with one hand.
yes," and she's, I just want you to be quiet. I just want you to be quiet. Yeah, really well done.
Yeah. So another thing is we get a little view into what happened that night. Now, we see Jessica with obviously bloodied hands and Kilgrave yelling after. I think I'm guessing what happened was, Kilgrave, he had his powers beforehand, so obviously he was using woman after woman after woman, and he found Jessica, and I think he realized what she was, and to him it's like, ooh, a new toy, and I wouldn't be surprised if he made her hurt someone.
I think that's a good guess, Zach. I do believe that this is um, wonderful. The complexity of, like, I got a new sports car and I want to see what it can do. Very nice.
Yes, and of course can't wait to see where they're going from that. Now, from there, we get her infiltrating the hospital and doing the whole ditzy. Oh, but of course, we get her breaking locks with her bare hands.
Yeah, that was nice. I did want to. There were two TV references. She said she was from Seattle Grace, and
Yeah,
the
what is
nurse.
that?
That's
I didn't know
that's
that.
that's the Grey's Anatomy. That's the
Oh
hospital Grey's
God.
Anatomy. And then when she says Dr. Carter, um, I'm assuming from the TV show ER, Dr. Carter, Noel Wiley's character uh, from currently the librarians. And so two pop culture hospital references, and I love the nurse caught her on it, like the TV show. And like, yeah, let's
But
keep that
I
moving.
kind of like how she like, and this is so true how it would work. Is like the nurse can completely um or if she was a nurse or a doctor, I'm not sure. She says like, oh, she completely believed that the person would just screw with her and ask for random information.
Often the person you're talking to will answer their own question.
Ah,
Yes,
yes.
and this was really nice. Oh, I bet they're just screwing with you. And I thought it was pretty clever that you see, there's only a couple people, and Kilgrave's not listed.
Yes, and she's got to investigate it. So she goes back to her home base and she finds someone there. Turns out it's just some guy fixing her door. Now, I gotta say something. Like she calls up the friend, like, "What are you doing? Send a guy there. I left you messages." I'm on Jessica's side. If you just, I don't care if you left a message. You'll just randomly send. This is a friend you know is afraid someone's coming after her, and you're just gonna send a random guy to go into her apartment. At least have him wait outside for her or something.
That's a interesting point. I was not on Jessica's side. I thought she was being a little paranoid, but when you put it that way, I can see why it is not wise
I
that
mean, it's
you
like the
should
friend
know.
doesn't
Yeah.
understand what I mean, but it's weird because she doesn't have some. I mean, she actually does have someone after her.
Yes. As they say, you're not. if they're really out to get you, you're not paranoid. She has someone out to get her, so that does not make her paranoid, right?
Right. So we also see little insights into their life, and also we see bruises and stuff that she's covering up, which we don't know why just yet.
Yeah.
And we also see the start of the brother fanboying over her.
Yeah, is yes, a little creepy and
Yeah,
uncomfortable, and, and Jessica's looking like, just go away, go
yeah.
away.
And also we get she gets another Purple Man flashback
Yes.
where she feels in there and she just splinters the window of the train car.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Um,
So then we get another fun character of the crazy religious mother of the AMT.
yeah, I thought that was very clever. They are showing that Jessica is smart, that she is a good detective. She is able to follow clues and make leaps, from A to B to C, and sometimes from C to H. And to figure out the ambulance and to go check this, she knows that he did something, wrong, because Kilgrave made him. Um, and donating the kidneys. And that was so, so scary, because certainly there are people that donate a kidney because we have redundancy in your body. But I guess the Purple Man was not happy with going on limited resources, was he?
Indeed. Well, he can just walk up to a bank and say, "Hey, you're going to give me $10,000."
Yes, he can.
And this
As
mother, his mother's just deluding herself. She's like, "He gave both his kidneys," and you can also see on Jessica's face, she's like, "And you don't see anything wrong with that?"
yeah, and he's on a dialysis machine. It is, um, after the stroke, he is not doing well at all. Yeah, that's a very uncomfortable scene at that household.
Oh, very much so. Of course, he asks her to kill him. He's begging her to do it.
Yeah, yeah, and she won't. Um, and I don't. I think that's the right decision. Obviously, taking a life, but I get why he's saying, just end this. He can barely move. I don't know how. It appears he has a pretty good mental facility faculties, but you know, trapped in that body and listening to the crazy mom, scary, very scary.
Uh, I did like when she's trying to get information on the machine. She's like, "It's not dial." You think that would be a warning? It's not dialysis.
Yeah, very. Ugh.
Yeah, but also the sister confronts her. I like how because it's funny because she calls her not just an asshole. Jessica calls the girl a perceptive asshole. Like she got it. Like she's like, oh, it's like that is a good point about me.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I also, um, I we're kind of jumping ahead when she finds the doctor
Mm.
and the way that she forces him to do the right thing. I was glad to see that.
Well, is see? It's more like she's forcing him to get Kilgrave. We haven't seen really her do anything hero like, not yet.
Okay, good point. Yes.
Oh, now this is the scene with the lovely wife. Now this is where we actually find out that just nobody hired. Well, at least it wasn't the husband. Now we don't know if she like why is it because I think it'd be I don't know why she's following Luke. If it's just because she likes him, I don't know.
Um, I was going to ask you that question. I think it's unclear why
It's
she
probably
was doing
intentionally
this.
unclear.
Yes, because you don't know why, and um, And he has a theory at the end that she's investigating him, but he doesn't really. It isn't made clear, is it?
Right. And I don't know.
Hmm.
We'll have to see because yeah, again, we're not sure. So again, the bar brawl happens, and see, and this is where we find out that Luke has his powers at this point.
Yeah.
Now, for anyone who doesn't know, what happened in the comics was Luke was he in order for he was a criminal, and for to agree to early release, he subjected himself to an experiment which gave him unbreakable skin.
Right.
I mean, does he? This is one thing I've always been a little. I mean, I've looked at it online, but I mean, does he technically have super strength, or he's just strong with unbreakable skin?
I do
Because
not
sometimes,
know.
because I've seen him go through brick walls, but it seems to be one of those things where, and I think Jessica's going to be the same thing. It's like his powers are dependent on who's writing it.
Yeah, I think so.
I like how he's almost annoyed when like the guys are hitting him. He's like, "Oh God."
Yeah, once again, that quiet, um, you know, underneath him is this huge eruption. Just you're 1 second away from having it, and he's controlling it. And the just matter of fact, not wasting a movement of taking care of these people and being irritated, and like when the guy tries to stab him with a broken beer bottle, and you're drunk, you don't know what you're seeing, go home. Awesome.
Right. And so, and Luke obviously sees her doing something a little extra human.
Yes. And it's just very, very cool.
Yes. And so the next morning she gets a call and she finds out who's leasing the machine. It's a doctor. She tracks him down. And I love this scene where he's like, "So, chapter one, yeah." And he's like slowly moving his way out.
Hmm.
And he just bolts. And it's funny because he bolts because he thinks because Kilgrave had her picture all over the place that she was with him. Now I think his fear shows how the effect of Kilgrave lingers. It doesn't matter if he's not controlling anymore. I mean, this is like the ultimate rape, the ultimate violation,
Hmm.
because he makes you feel like you wanted it. I mean, that's got to be one of the worst.
Absolutely.
And and there's even purple lighting, and they put that all over the place in both episodes. But we found out what happened is Kilgrave got injured, but like he something called crush syndrome with his kidneys, but he held on and he used the EMT and the doctor to replace his. He took the EMT's kidneys,
Yes.
and so I wonder if they're going to address that, like the fact that he needs new kidneys like ever again. But so and here's where we get a little Jessica through investigation gets an interesting tidbit. He kept himself awake through the surgery because he can go to sleep and his powers still work, but if he gets certain parts, if he gets knocked out, his powers won't work. So, and that's a very she finds drugs that will do that, which I'm sure will become an important plot point later.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, what I think will happen with because of course she gets him to tell her story, and so her lawyer agrees to take the girl's case because obviously there's now corroborating testimony that this mind controller exists. And I do like that. Because I always hate in shows when the evidence is right in front of their face. It's like I didn't see it. I didn't see it. It's like but I like the idea in real life. People are like, okay, this evidence exists. Maybe there is a mind controller. But what I
Yeah.
think is worth mentioning here is the fact that I think Hogarth and it's funny because every time I hear that name, I think of the movie Iron Giant. But
Hmm.
um, I think she's going to be interested because Jessica never told her that the Purple Man went after her.
Right. No, she didn't. And it's a very typical, as a you victim, you blame yourself, even though she keeps saying it's not your fault, it's not your fault, it's not your fault. And I love the idea, by naming the streets near where you grew up
I
somehow
didn't think to check if
calms
that's a
you.
real thing.
Yeah, I need to. I agree with you. That's because um, Jessica makes fun of it, but I see she keeps using it.
Well, of course, it's got to be the whole tough sell. So after that, she talks to her friend, and we get this little. I mean, obviously they kind of connect better online. then we find out what all the bruises and the stuff. Now, when I saw the blood dripping, because I didn't notice the bruises the first time, I thought it was going to be she had some kind of disease, but it turns out she's taking really intense self-defense classes, and we don't yet know why.
Yeah. I my thought was when the blood was dripping that we were going to find that Kilgrave was there at her house.
Or that, yeah. I
Yeah,
thought it was going to be some
controlling
kind of
her.
weird disease, or that Kilgrave, yeah.
And so I was very relieved to see no, she's just getting her butt kicked and then her kicking butt and learning and over again. No, I heard the click. I would have been dead. Let's do this again. Yeah.
So the episode ends with Kilgrave down. We have no idea why he's in this apartment.
No, and I don't know if you've noticed, Zach, but there is, and you know how the internet is. It 2, 3 people say something, and all of a sudden it's a thing. You know, it's like the Starbucks cup fiasco that had
Oh
really
God, what?
nothing. You know, one person said it, and then people got all enraged. But there have been a few fans, I guess, that posted that they're uncomfortable seeing good old Doctor Who, David
Oh
Tennant,
God, yeah, I
as
heard
the
about this.
villain, and I think that helps sell the role that he is very likable as an actor, and he is charming, and he is playing it so cold. I mean, he doesn't even pretend to be charming when he goes to the house. You want to invite me in? Yes, I do. You want me to stay at your guest, and you're thrilled to have me. Oh, we are. Children should be seen and not, seen and not heard. In fact, they shouldn't be seen. Go in the closet. You know, he doesn't even tell them to go to their room. Just go to the closet. And God,
And he
that's
makes her like the you can actually see the pee coming out of the door.
right.
I mean, this is what shows. This is very dark.
Yes. And then him she's cooking rack of lamb. It's my specialty. Well, I'll be the judge of that. I have a very particular palate as he's, carving the knife. Um, creepy Zach.
Mm.
Very creepy.
Now, one thing I don't know if we have the little purple car. I think this is worth mentioning. We haven't because this is when we first really see him. He ain't purple.
No. Yeah.
I wonder if that's going to be significant, like if he's going to become like using it, maybe something's going to happen, or if he's ever going to be purple. And it could just be it's one of those things. And if this is the reason, I completely understand it. Like we've said this in Daredevil many times with different outfits and different appearances. Some people and costumes, characters,
Hmm.
it's got to be hard to adapt to live action, and the Purple Man, that might be hard to adapt too.
Yeah, and one of the things we like in Game of Thrones, Peter Dinklage character in the
Yeah, he's supposed to be
books,
really ugly.
yeah, and his nose is cut off, and you put that scar instead for practicality, because it would be difficult to have David Tennant go in purple body paint every time you're going to film. So yes, and this also fits more there in this world, this gritty Marvel universe. People, look the same, and metahumans don't look different. It's one of the reasons why the X-Men, kind of hide themselves. So yeah, I'm perfectly okay him not being purple. I
Yeah.
think it
Oh,
makes
yeah. Do we think he's going to become purple?
no, I don't. I think they will. I do not think they will do that at all. I did. I love that he's wearing purple, but no, I don't think they will do that.
And do you think he'll ever call himself Purple Man?
I do not think so, but I could be wrong. I have no
I mean, it could be like what Daredevil did, like how Daredevil was about the birth of Kingpin and Daredevil. So maybe they're going to do
yeah,
something similar.
yeah, it could be.
I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Absolutely.
So, and obviously the episode ends. with Luke Cage revealing his abilities because he thinks that's why Jesse. And well, hopefully we find out next episode exactly what's going on. But yeah, he just takes a power saw at him and shows that he's got powers.
It is really interesting, isn't it? The way he's just staring at her and, cuts his own abdomen. Really, really nice.
Now, something I think is worth mentioning, I just thought of it right now,
Hmm.
is of course because between like even though of course Jessica isn't like super strong, she's just added strength and she can fly, and Luke Cage is we don't know exactly how strong he is yet, but he's still a pretty tough customer. It doesn't matter because the villain in this uh is mind control.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm curious to how they're gonna and how it's gonna deal like what if I know I really wonder if we're gonna get other villains and stuff like that. I'm really looking so for this episode I am so like I thought it was good. They built up the characters quite nice. I think I just think that works really good for the whole doing episodes two at a time because the flow like a film noir is very good. Every episode just whets my appetite more and more because I got to find out what happens next.
Absolutely. I agree. This is really off to a great start, and I'm enjoying the heck out of talking about it with you.
All right, so do you have anything else you would like to add?
Well, I'm going to give this one
Oh boy.
8.5 power saws. We're off to a great start. We'll just kind of keep going.
Yeah, indeed. So that's all for this week, and tune in soon because we're going to try to bang, just like with Daredevil, we're going to try to bang this out as much as possible. Because we
Absolutely.
got to know what happens next. So remember, everyone, purple is the new black.